Hey guys, John here, and it's another week, it's another Wednesday, which means it's another SmackDown review. We are now 2 weeks away, a week and a half away, from Backlash, where Dean Ambrose will face will face AJ Styles for the WWE Championship. An opponent for The Miz is yet to be known. There'll be a six-pack challenge for the Women's Championship, and there'll be the final of the Tag Team Tournament for the SmackDown Tag Team Titles. So I'd say Tag Team Tournament titles, but I guess it just had a better ring to it. I don't know. But SmackDown this week emanated from Dallas, Texas, which was the home of WrestleMania 32. The one just gone there with the amazing main event. It was received very, very well. Of course, I'm being sarcastic. If I did a review for that, it will be... So, I'll talk about the two opening segments here. It opened with the Talking Smack interview with Miz and Daniel Bryan. First of all, that promo was awesome. I didn't cover it last week because I didn't know it happened. But I saw it after I recorded the show, and I'm just like, whoa. Okay? For the second time in 2 weeks, WWE blurred the lines between fake and real. The promo seemed really genuine by the Miz, and you could tell Daniel Bryan just was sad. Like, he wanted to get back in the ring, and he wanted to perform in front of the WWE instead of being this authority figure. And Miz was very good, and I thought it was cool because Miz was Daniel Bryan's pro on NXT. Way back when. In case you didn't know, NXT used to be a game show. Well done. And Daniel Bryan's mentor was The Miz, and way back got Chris Jericho. I think Heats there got Rey Mysterio, something like that. I don't know. But Daniel Bryan was supposed to be eliminated. Well done there, WWE booking. He of course went on to be the most successful of all the NXT members from that season. But without further ado, good promo by The Miz, and the next segment of the show was Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon watching that promo, and Shane said to Daniel that he owes The Miz an apology, that he can't go off like that on superstars, and Daniel Bryan agreed and said that he'll be more careful about what he says on Talking Smack. And then he said the advice from Shane was ironic since he has beef with Brock Lesnar. Another topic I want to talk about here before we get started on the actual show. There's sort of been some dissension with the Raw and SmackDown General match. I did watch Raw this week for the Universal title match. Gosh, that was beautiful. But you can tell at the end, I don't know what happened. Stephanie seemed shocked that Triple H was there. But Mick Foley, the general manager, looked outright angry at Triple H, even though he sort of looks angry all the time, but he looked extremely angry that Triple H cost Seth and Roman that chance to become the champion and just gifted it to Kevin Owens. I think by the way, Big Cass performed well in that match. Let's not forget about him, he did a good job. And then now this week, Daniel and Shane having some beef because Shane is telling him to can it with The Miz, and Daniel Bryan saying, hey, that's ironic because you have beef with Brock Lesnar where you dropped your ass at SummerSlam. It is starting to be a bit weird, and I don't want them to get new general managers because I like Daniel Bryan and Mick Foley, although I do think Austin would have been better for Raw because it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I like Mick Foley, but come on, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you would have went out of your seat if it was Austin. But let's move on to the first part of the show, which is the opening segment, which is a promo from the man who killed Daniel Bryan last week, The Miz. So yeah, first part of the show, hooray! The Miz was in the ring, entered with Maurice. He actually entered before his music hit. So he was a very unhappy camper. He was extremely angry, and the crowd was firmly against The Miz during this whole segment. He talks about how him and his Intercontinental titles have been overlooked by SmackDown officials. To be honest, I should have said this before, I'll say it now. I do believe The Miz is actually the best heel in WWE because with the heels on well, like Kevin Owens supposed to be a heel, fans cheer him. Jericho's supposed to be a heel, people cheer him. AJ Styles supposed to be a heel, people cheer him. But Miz just has that, you just can't like him. So like Mr. McMahon back in the Attitude Era, even if he was face or heel, he just, no one liked him because of what he did and what his rivalries and what he said. And people hate The Miz now for what he said to Daniel Bryan. And plus, all the other stupid crap he's done in his career, coming from Tough Enough. Who the hell came from Tough Enough? Oh yeah, John Morrison. Never mind. And he says he isn't an indie wrestler and says he's a success. Yeah, well done there, being from flipping Tough Enough. Anyways, yeah, he also rams on about like the newer indie guys have no regard for their body, just want to look flashy and all that. I guess it sort of has worked since Rollins' powerbomb is dodgy as hell. But I do like these indie wrestlers coming up because they have more experience and more caliber than these other guys. Like AJ Styles is new and he's way more experienced in wrestling than The Miz. And yet Miz has a title. Yeah, I do think Styles is going to be an Ambrose. And out comes Dolph Ziggler to interrupt him. Good to see you, Dolph. Ziggler says that Miz does all of what says Miz has done it all. He's been in movies, on the red carpet. He's been to charities, done everything. He's won titles. He's been in matches. But he says the reason why people hate The Miz is because he just wants to be famous, and he says that everyone can see through his facade. Obviously, I don't agree with. Dolph and I are saying the same thing, but I do agree with him. And he says that he has a chance to change it. As he says, if he wants to prove he isn't a coward in front of the fans, in front of the officials, in front of his wife, for himself, to get into a fight with Ziggler. They got ready to get into a fight, but The Miz exited, and Dolph grabbed him and he said, once again, Miz has proved everyone right, and called him a soft coward. Miz then loses it, and Maurice has to talk him down. So they seem to be building up Dolph Ziggler as the new number one contender to the Intercontinental title. I would like to. I think he's won it before. I would like to see him regain the belt and have Styles as a heel champion. So, because I thought like face champion and a heel champion. So it was a good opening for SmackDown, and let's move on to the first matchup of the night. So first of all is the Hype Brothers. Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley versus the Vaudevillains, Aiden English and Simon Gotch, is the first round match in the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament. Zack Ryder started the match against Aiden English, who's currently in the ring there. Zack got the early advantage, but he went for the broski boot early on, but Gotch pulled English out of the ring. He then hit a sort of like a springboard dropkick on Gotch, but English gained control after a spinning neckbreaker. The Vaudevillains kept the advantage, but English then missed a swanton bomb, and Ryder tagged in Mojo Rawley, and he took it to both Vaudevillains. Mojo then got a 2 count after that move there, sort of like a sting and a splash, but Simon Gotch broke it up. Ryder then hit Gotch with the broski boot after he dropped toe hold him into the middle turnbuckle. And then Ryder was tagged in. He then hit the Hype Rider, which the like spine buster Rough Rider combo, and got the 3. So Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley advanced to the semi-finals of the Tag Team Tournament, and they then staked their claim to the titles in an interview after the match. It then says that the Headbangers, an Attitude Era tag team, they stopped wrestling WWE in 1999, and they were former tag champions, but they would face Heath Slater and Rhino later that night. So, good tag action, making the Hype Bros look a dominant force. But let's move on to the next segment. So, up next was AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, the face that runs the place. And he actually did enter that. The ring announcer said, but now going by the title of the face that runs the place, AJ Styles, and I was laughing my ass off. The crowd was firmly behind him and chanting his name. He then says he will beat Ambrose and will see his face when he becomes the new WWE champion. Apollo Crews interrupted him after they had like a little backstage segment after, so like, I don't know what really happened. So like Styles was one on saying, "Hey, I'm the face that runs the place," and Apollo Crews was in the corridor, and Styles went to him and said, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name?" He says, "I'm Apollo Crews, C-O-E-S-S," and Styles like, "What is this, a spelling bee?" So he was kind of angry about that, and Crews stated that they had a match right now, and that's what you see here. So it's AJ Styles versus Apollo Crews. Styles is very confident, but Crews gained an early advantage with a drop kick. When cut to commercial break, when we returned, Styles had Crews in a reverse headlock after Styles hit Crews with a headbutt to the stomach during the commercial break. Both men got into exchange, but Crews came out the better and gained a massive advantage against Styles with clotheslines, stinger splashes, and he chucked Styles over the apron. Top row, I should say. He then performed a springboard moonsault right on the apron onto AJ Styles. Like, he did a flip on the apron and he hit Styles. That was really cool. Never seen anything like that before. Styles then escaped a superplex and went to the top rope. He went for the phenomenal forearm, but Crews caught him and hit him with a Samoa drop, as you can see here, and he did get a 2 count. Crews looked very good in this match, I should say. Going against the main event caliber talent like AJ Styles, he definitely did look very, very good. So moving on, he then went to the top rope and dived off it to avoid an attack from Styles, but got caught with a neck breaker from the second rope. You know, I think Styles does ways like he's on the apron. Guy goes to headbutt him, they miss, and he goes like a neck breaker sort of thing. And then he hit the phenomenal forearm for the win. So AJ Styles bests a very game Apollo Crews via pinfall. So that was really, really cool. I really like that. But let's move on to the best part of SmackDown, Heath Slater. So now let's move on to Heath Slater's match. First of all, Renee Young interviewed Heath Slater at his house. They're really doing like the whole Slater rags switch. They never live in a trailer park with Rhino. The one gag is that he's poor and his wife is being a slob. Renee Young was really uncomfortable. They had to eat like mac and cheese, pizza crust for dinner. Their kids were collecting cans. Brock Lesnar doesn't give a crap about Heath Slater's kids, in more explicit terms. But what they basically did, they recalled the past few weeks and the tag team tournament. And yeah, so really excited for the match later on tonight. I will be using this image again for the match because why the hell not? But up next was Bray Wyatt and his sermon for the serpent. Guess who the serpent is? So yeah, I've given you guys a couple of seconds to guess who the serpent is. Guess who the serpent is? If you said Randy Orton, you're correct. If you said Jake the Snake, what? If you said Ricky Steamboat, wrong animal. And if you said Bray Wyatt, then why would Bray Wyatt do a sermon for himself? And Bray Wyatt's in the ring says he doesn't feel snakes or monsters or men. He sees Randy as a man, another mythological serpent. And he says Brock made all of Orton's weaknesses more glaring. And then Bray Wyatt says Randy's voices are telling him to run. Run, Randy. Run. That's what he was like. I can't do a Bray Wyatt impression to save my life. Anyways, out comes Randy Orton from out of nowhere. I always have to do one of them in the show. Randy says the voices in his head are asking him, who the hell does this guy think he is? He says that Wyatt has his attention. Bray says he admires Randy's courage, but he says Orton isn't the Predator anymore. He is damaged and weak, and then Wyatt challenged Randy to a match at Backlash. Orton says Wyatt knows Randy's scars from his matches with Cactus Jack, The Undertaker, Triple H, but Orton says the scars Wyatt should be concerned about are the internal demons. And Orton respects Wyatt for his demons for some reason. So he agrees to the match, because why not? We need to sell the pay-per-view here. He then says that he isn't afraid of Wyatt, and Orton goes for him. And the Eater Worlds vanishes in front of him, and we cut to the very next segment. So I do believe this is going to be a good match. Wyatt is very stiff and good in the ring. And of course, Randy Orton, this veteran, he's gonna make Wyatt look good. I do expect Orton to get the win. But without further ado, let's head on to the women's match for the night. So the women's match for the night. Before you start, this isn't another Becky Lynch Alexa Bliss match, even though they seem to be having a bit of a rivalry at the moment. But it's Alexa Bliss and Natalya versus Becky Lynch and Naomi. And Nikki Bella's at ringside on commentary for this match, so you obviously know what's going to happen there. Naomi was actually wearing a new attire in this one, and not her onesie that she was wearing in recent weeks. Of course, Becky Lynch had the biggest cheer of all the women. And Naomi and Natalya started the match off. Side note, screw David Otunga and screw Nikki Bella for talking about Total Bellas during a women's tag match. Screw that and Total Divas. We then cut to a commercial, sorry about my rambling, and when we returned, Natalya was in firm control of Naomi. And Natalya then acted really smart as Becky was distracting the ref and didn't see the tag to Alexa, but they tagged in again when the ref was done sorting out Becky. As Naomi hits back with a drop kick and takes the round, but couldn't get the tag to Lynch. Naomi then hit a big boot, sort of like drop big boot to Bliss. It's sort of like where grabs the arm, flings herself down with her feet up and head into boot. Ouch. And then she tagged in Lynch. Becky then took control away from Bliss and Natalya. Hit a drop kick off the top rope to Alexa Bliss for a 2 count after Natalya interrupted. Naomi then took the fight to Natalya, and Carmella came from the crowd and sneak attacked Nikki Bella ringside for the 3rd time in 2 weeks. Bliss took advantage from the distraction via a roll-up and for the 3 count. So Becky, Carmella, and Alexa Bliss standing tall. Sorry, on Becky. Carmella, Alexa Bliss, and Natalya standing tall after a chaotic women's match. Becky wasn't really standing that tall at all because she was leaning down to look after Nikki Bella because she got the utter crap beaten out of her. So Nikki Bella's been there for what, 8 years? Just got bested by an upcoming NXT woman. Well done. Well done. But anyways, all 4 women looked good in this match. I can't wait for the 6-pack challenge sort of thing. If you don't know what 6-pack challenge is, it's King of the Ring, King of the Hill sort of thing, where you beat someone, they're knocked out, someone else comes in, and whoever's last man standing wins. And that'll be for the SmackDown Women's title. So I'm really excited for that match at Backlash. But let's move on to the Heat Slater match. Him and Rhino versus the Headbangers. So, in comes Slater and Rhino against the Headbangers. This is actually the Headbangers' first match in WWE for 16 years. Thrasher is the one in the black skirt, while Mosh, who's in there, is the one in the red skirt. I know they're either skirts or kilts, I don't know what you call them. Slater and Rhino enter to a massive reception. God, I'm sounding like I've got something wrong with my throat now with all the stuff wrong with my throat in recent weeks. Sorry about that again. Slater started against Mosh. Mosh hit a springboard crossbody to Slater outside the ring. The Headbangers actually have looked well despite not being in the WWE for 16 years. They got a 2 count on Slater. Moss then hit a hip toss on Slater. Thrasher and Moss then hit a side slam leg drop sort of thing for a 2 count after Rhino interrupted. Actually, Rhino was actually busted open during this match. I don't think it was intentional, but I think a punch grazed his eye and it cut it open. I then dragged Slater to their corner and Slater tagged in Rhino. Another smart move. The Man Beast speared the hell out of Thrasher for the win. Thanks for coming, Headbangers. Slater and Rhino get the win. So we now actually have our semi-finals for the tournament, and they are American Alpha versus the Usos and the Hype Bros versus Slater and Rhino. That'll be on next week's SmackDown. I do believe American Alpha and Slater and Rhino to go over, and they'll have their match, and American Alpha will win, hopefully. And if not, then they'll just win the titles off them. So now it's time for the main event of the evening. Okay, now this actually happened before the main event. I've just, after remembering this now, Styles was on commentary for the upcoming match. Some retard who calls himself the Milkman strips off in the ring to his, as Epic Red Battles would say, tiny Walter Whiteys, and challenged anyone in the back to come out and fight him. Out comes Kane, as you can see here. The Milkman then got chokeslammed to hell by the Devil's favorite demon. I don't think this really served a purpose. It's just to indicate that, hey, we have Kane, we might use him, you never know. I do think Kane should be invested more into SmackDown. I do believe he could be one of the big Intercontinental title competitors. Anyways, let's move on to the real main event of the evening. That was just a troll, I'm sorry about that, but let's move on to the main event. Okay, that looks better. So, the match was Baron Corbin versus the WWE Champion Dean Ambrose. Ambrose ended to a massive ovation from the crowd, nearly as much as AJ Styles. The Dallas crowd were hyped for this match since they all know what they went through. When the last time they were in Dallas, Dean Ambrose fought Brock Lesnar in a street fight, and Baron Corbin participated and won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale of WrestleMania. As Corbin then gained an advantage, but Ambrose hit back with his cross-body and ground and pound, a clothesline over the top of, and a diving clothesline off the apron to Corbin. He then bounced Corbin's head off the announce table, and Ambrose was dominating the match after a diving dropkick off the second rope. Corbin then got a ground and pound advantage on Ambrose after an axe handle to his neck. Corbin then threw Ambrose over the top. Well, we go to a commercial break, and when we return, Corbin was still very much in control, and during the commercial break, he threw Ambrose into the steel steps. Ambrose tried to hit his slingshot clothesline. When he's someone punches him, he goes in between the second and top rope, and then just bashes someone. But Corbin actually had it scouted, hit an STO for a 2 count. The former NXT superstar looked pretty good in this match, to be fair. The Lone Wolf was pretty much dominating Ambrose. Ambrose then hit a swinging neck breaker, lovely one of them, and he went for the dirty deeds, but Corbin reversed it. He then he went for a headbutt in the corner, but Ambrose dodged and rolled up Corbin for a 2 count. Then Corbin hit a wicked clothesline. I was like, ooh. And as Ambrose got up and then hit a slingshot clothesline after punch and slingshot clothesline for another 2 count. All these 2 counts again. 2 count city. Dean then went to the top rope, but Corbin caught him there. He then went for a superplex, but Ambrose got away from him and sent Corbin out of the ring and hit a suicide dive on him. They got back in the ring, but Corbin then hit a deep 6 for another 2. Corbin then sent Ambrose into the barricade. Styles then got off commentary and yelled at Corbin, telling him to stay off Ambrose. And Baron Corbin turns around and he's like, "You don't tell me what to do. No one tells me what to do." And AJ like, "You better get out of my face, Mace." As Ambrose then hits Corbin into AJ and hits an elbow from the top rope for a 2. Corbin then rolled up Ambrose after AJ distracted him for another 2. Ambrose went for dirties, but Corbin reversed and pushed Ambrose into the ropes. But Styles tried to kick Dean in the head, but instead he got Corbin. So Baron Corbin bet Dean Ambrose by DQ. And that's by DQ, but still, what a win for Corbin. They're definitely trying to make him look like a dominant competitor. It was a good win for him. AJ and Ambrose started to get into a fight, but Corbin broke it up by attacking Ambrose and sent Ambrose into the ring. Dean then hit the dirty deeds on Corbin. Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, but the WWE champ hit the ropes, and it's safe to say AJ won't be welcoming a child anytime soon. Ambrose then moved the ropes up and down to cripple Styles even more, and SmackDown ends with the lunatic Fringe standing tall. It was a good SmackDown, although I have to admit it wasn't as good as Raw. Raw had SmackDown was consistent all around, but the main event for Raw was one of the most exciting I've seen in recent years. So, hats off to Raw. I think they did the better this week. And, yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow for NXT. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you later. Take care.